Okay, last video. So like I said, if you click this link right here, the PowerPoint will come up for you. I don't have the direct link to the version that y'all are going to read, but I will send that in the email shortly. Actually, by the time you watch this video, you'll see it. Okay, so The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And I had a slight embarrassing memory that I may have said in class Calvin Coolidge. So if I said Calvin Coolidge the other day in class, forgive me. Okay, so The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So I think you guys are going to like this one. It's a story of sailing, good luck, bad luck, and zombie pirates. Okay, and if any of you are Iron Maiden fans, they have actually covered the song. I think, I mean, it's a poem, but I think that you call cover it. I'm not sure. You know, I don't listen to music. Okay, so question: what does it mean if you say you have an albatross around your neck? Oh, and by the way, this is an albatross. It's a bird. Okay, so if you say you have an albatross around your neck, it means there's something like nagging at you, something that you have to accomplish, something that you have to do, something that's bothering you. You know, it's this weight that you have to carry around until you fix whatever that is. Background. Okay, so Samuel Taylor Coolidge, he was born in Devonshire in 1772. He studied at Christ Hospital School in London and Cambridge, but he never graduated. He was influenced by French revolutionary ideas, once again, the French Revolution. But like many of his contemporaries, after disillusionment with the French Revolution, he planned a utopian society in Pennsylvania based on equal rights and without private property. This project failed. He would never make it over there. He was a productive artistic collaborator with the poet and friend William Wordsworth, who we will read more about next week. He died in 1834, and I'm going to have more about him in right now. Coleridge was part of the first wave of Romantic poets, so we're going to shift out of the Enlightenment era and go into the Romantic poets. And just because we say Romantic doesn't mean it is all happy and roses and bright sunny days. No, we'll get more into what it looks like to read a Romantic writing here soon. Like I said, he was close from William Wordsworth. Together, they co-authored lyrical ballads. Coleridge added lines to Wordsworth poetry, and Wordsworth came up with the idea for the albatross and the rhyme of the ancient mariner. So they were really good buddies. Um, blah blah. During the peak of his literary career, he was addicted to opium, which all great writers, some of them they have a little tendency to lean towards opium. So let me cough and say Edgar Allan Poe. He's just one of many. All right, so The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It's considered a literary ballad. It's a song-like poem that tells a story. It's written in imitation of the traditional folk ballad in an event that it blends the real with the supernatural events. So that's going to be another theme of the Romantic writers, these supernatural events. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner is told as a frame story. So basically, it's a story within a story. And you'll see this picture later whenever we go over Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Because we have several stories that are all combined into one story. It can get a bit convoluted when you're trying to keep up with everyone and characters and stuff, but just remember that it's a frame story, which basically means it's a story within a story. So if you ever watch a Disney movie and they start out with, an old woman, talking, sewing or whatever, and they're like, once upon a time, and it shifts to a different era, that's a frame story. And Romantic writers loved a good frame story. Okay, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It's a tale of crime, punishment, and redemption. It was the first poem in the 1798 edition of the Lyrical Ballads. Coleridge added marginal notes himself to later editions to downplay its archaic style, so use of old words. So the version that I'm going to give you is actually going to have, little footnotes saying, okay, if we say Kirk, that means church. Okay. And that'll be all lined out there for you. There's, of course, going to be some antiquated language in there just because it was written hundreds of years ago and, words changed, or you know what I mean. Okay. So this is the Ancient Mariner statue in Somerset, England. I don't know. I know Miss Underwood has traveled to England, so maybe she's seen it in person. I've never been to England. So a sailor basically ruins a voyage for his entire crew by killing an albatross. We follow his suffering and strange encounters as he journeys worldwide. He's doomed to forever tell his story to the people who need to hear it most. So basically, warning people. Frame tale, like I said, it's a frame story. The mariner tells his story to a wedding guest. So basically, they're going to be at a wedding, and then he's going to be like, "Once upon a time," even though he doesn't say "once upon a time." All right. The rhyme of the ancient mariner. The mariner's burden is the origin of saying an albatross around your neck. This is also where we get the phrase water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Samuel Taylor Coleridge is known for weaving intense supernatural imagery throughout his storylines. So, in the later Romantic period, which is going to be the second 4 weeks of this semester, we're really going to get into the supernatural imagery. So, he's going to influence a lot of those later Romantic writers. I did include a lot of Gustave Dor's illustrations from The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, but I'm not going to go over them, but you're welcome to look at it just to sort of get an idea where the lines are and what sort of imagery you could be seeing. As you can see right here, this is the mariner and this is the albatross around his neck. This is an adventure story, a ghost story, and a religious parable all rolled into one. So you're going to sort of get Partners Tales vibes with this. So just be aware of that. Coleridge was inspired by a story told by a Captain George Shevlock in his book A Voyage Around the World by Way of the Great South Sea. So basically, what George said was a crew member shot down an albatross that had been following the ship. And his excuse was he was bored and depressed and thought it would bring them bad luck. Thought it was bringing them bad luck, and it wound up that voyage did not wind up being very productive for George. So he said, "Oh, don't do that because albatross is supposed to be a majestic beast." Coleridge's poem focuses on the idea of guilt, redemption, and respecting all creatures. British writers naturally reinterpreted the Bible stories and Christian views of heaven and hell because they were constantly exposed to them. Here we see the concerns of times reflected in the story. So, age of exploration, slavery, and environmental destruction. The general idea of respect still rings true. So, again, romantic writers are going to be influenced by these concerns, especially after like the first push of the age of exploration. We had the colonies, we had the United States had been formed by this time, and we're going to have this issue of slavery, environmental destruction. Removing Native Americans. This is going to ring true not only in this part of British literature, but towards the end of our semester, we're going to read Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, and that really looks at environmental destruction and slavery, and you can see the tones of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner to his story as well. That's all I'm going to go over. So again, I've got the artistry here that you can look at and sort of get an idea of what's going on in the story. It'll help you sort of picture everything. It's really good. All right. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Don't forget to read what you're supposed to read. Have a great weekend.